I'm Mike Sullivan, and today we have another video on how to get more distance. Today we'll talk about how to create a really good shoulder turn. And if you turn correctly, you're definitely going to get more distance on your drives. Okay, so we're talking about the turn, or we're talking about the pivot that you may have heard me talk about before. This is really crucial though when it comes to being able to reach your distance potential. Most people that are playing golf are not even scratching the surface as far as how much club head speed they could have down through impact and how solid they could hit golf shots. So this is going to be huge. So when it comes to turning, take a look at when I set up to the ball here. Notice that my right hand, so my trailing hand, is lower on the club than my left hand as a right-handed golfer, okay? You can see that my right shoulder is lower than my left shoulder. So what's happening here is my spine is tilted to make this take place, okay? So our spine is set up so that our shoulders are set up 90 degrees to our spine, okay? If I were to set up to a golf ball with my spine straight up and down, like this, and I were to turn my shoulders with how they sit on top of my spine, I would never get my lead shoulder back behind the ball. And as I try to swing through, I would end up in a situation where I'd have to stop unwinding my shoulders and come through with my hands. That's going to provide really bad leverage, and it's going to really kill us on club head speed, amongst other things. So when you look at a tour player, really good players play, take a look at their back hip here as they set up. When they set up, they're going to have this little tilt so their head gets back behind the ball. And I'm really using the ball as a reference point, which is why I have this stick down here. We're going to set up with the top of our spine back behind the ball. So if I were to just turn my hips and shoulders with how my shoulders are set up right now, I'm going to end up with my shoulders back behind the ball. Okay? Oh, I can see, I'm sorry, hitting the mic. So we're going to have our shoulders back behind the ball. And from this sort of a position, as we unwind, what's going to happen is we can keep turning our shoulders all the way through our golf shot, and it's going to give us really, really great leverage. So many people, rather than turning, what they do is they set up, and they may set up with a good, what we call secondary spine tilt. They may set up okay that way. But what they're going to do is they're going to feel a weight transfer by sliding their hip backwards. Look what that does to my spine. And then look what's going to happen is that if I try to get a shoulder turn. So what they do is rather than turning back, they slide and they tilt and lift their arms up. And then what happens on the way back down towards the ball, they have to stop turning through and then they kind of flip at it with their hands. Okay? So we want to build a good turn to allow us to utilize this great opportunity for leverage. And even if, you know, if you all of a sudden develop a really good pivot, it's not going to make you a tour player or anything overnight, but it is going to help out a whole lot. So here's a little drill we can do for that. Number one, look into a mirror or a picture window or a sliding glass door, something like that. Take your setup with your club up here, take your arms out of play, and go ahead and tilt your spine. Now look at yourself in the mirror and pick a spot behind your back hip. Let your hip and your shoulders turn without seeing the hip slide backwards. So look right behind my hip here. There should be no slide going backwards. Okay, if anything, you may have seen my hips move a little bit towards the target. That's a pivot. That's what we're doing with a pivot. Once you get the hang of that, give it a little bit of time. Work on this for a week without even hitting a ball. Of course, keep playing golf. Work on this. Turn back, turn through. Turn back, turn through. When you feel like you can do that, then change angles and look at yourself this way in a mirror or a sliding glass door or a picture window. Take your setup. Now I'm in what we call a primary spine angle here. Good posture, really important. I'm in a primary spine angle. So notice that I'm tilted. I want my shoulders to turn 90 degrees to my spine in this angle as well. So it's two things we're going to work on. You're not going to be able to nail both things at once, so work on them one at a time. So good primary spine angle from here, also known as good golf posture, okay? Take your arms out of it, get your tilt, club across your chest, turn through, and when you look in the mirror, this shaft should form a 90-degree angle through my torso angle. So that's a great drill that you can do in the house without hitting any balls, okay? Another thing you can do, and we put a video up about this a little while ago, I wouldn't use a driver to do it. I'll grab an iron. So you can take practice swings doing what we call the tightrope drill. So I'm right-handed, so my right foot goes in front of my left. If you're left-handed, left foot in front of right. And I'm going to set up here. I'm going to give myself, though, this tilt. As soon as I tilt back this way and give myself a secondary spine angle, my rear end has to move towards the target so I don't fall over. So I'm going to turn back, turn through. And what you should see is you should see some angle to my torso as I turn back, because if my shoulder's going back this way, my rear end's going to have to move towards the target so I don't fall over. So those two drills are absolutely phenomenal to help you out with your pivot. And having a good pivot or having a good turn is the number one thing that I see people work on and make a huge improvement in their golf game. Maybe it's not the thing they're actually working the most on, but that is what really makes that big impact, okay? So get that turn working to help you get a lot more club head speed and, of course, a lot more distance.